It's been just over a month since the Big Ten and NCAA volleyball season ended, and also just over a month since Minnesota announced its newest head coach, and I'm so excited to be joined by Keegan Cook and let the fans get to know you a little bit more. Coach Cook, you looking good. You already got the court behind you. How are you settling in?
Yeah, Emily, I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a pretty special space that I've loved being in for the past month.
Well, let's take it back. I know you've coached at all levels. You started as a high school varsity coach at, I think, just 19 years old, and eventually moved into the college game. When did you realize that you actually wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, probably partway through my college career. I think I had a professor who let me know that maybe my future wasn't in my preferred major and that there might be a different course for me. And at the same time, I was really involved as a student manager for the program there and coaching club in the late hours of the night, and started to realize that I did want to teach, but maybe it wasn't math, it was supposed to be volleyball. And that's what set us off on this crazy adventure.
Well, teaching and coaching, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. Before Minnesota, you came from Washington, where you spent 8 years, 4 Pac-12 titles, 4 Elite Eights, and a Final Four in the spring of 2021. What's the number one way that you feel like you developed as a coach over that time period at Washington?
Yeah, I think you get a lot better at realizing the things that correlate to winning. You know, there's so many spaces that we could spend our time, and I think early on I was in a lot of different spaces, but now, almost 10 years later, you put yourself in the spaces that are really important, and you probably have a little less care about some of the details that don't correlate to the development of your athletes.
Well, Washington, I mean, it's also such a historic volleyball program, just one of 12 that have ever won a national title. When you started looking at this job, what was the biggest selling point for taking over Minnesota?
Yeah, it started out as a feeling, maybe, and then you investigate that feeling. And there was a great history here. There was a great responsibility. Those things spoke to me. There were obviously some incredible athletes here that I knew I would look forward to working with. There was a high level of success, and also something that hasn't been achieved yet in terms of national championship. And it maybe wasn't any one thing, but a combination of things that have a lot of meaning to me that led me here.
What do you feel like maybe that number one way that you see where this program could get to that national championship is, the biggest jump maybe?
Yeah, I say this a lot, but when you have a bunch of good teams over time, or you make a bunch of good plays over time, you give yourself an opportunity for great things to happen. So I don't think it's a matter of reinventing what's been done here at Minnesota. It has to be authentic to me and our coaching staff. But if we continue to do things the right way and at a high level, I believe the opportunity is going to happen.
Well, again, you've only been there for about, 6 weeks or so. You took the job in mid-December. Once you signed that dotted line, how quickly did everything move for you?
You have a hard time remembering, honestly. Time starts speeding up, and the days pass fast. I think I tell people it's easy to go to sleep and it's easy to wake up. But it already is starting to feel like home. There's already a community that we're building, and it's everything to have the coaching staff and the players back on campus a lot better than being in this building at night by yourself thinking about the future. It's coming to life now, and as it comes to life, I get more excited.
All right, well, I would be totally remiss if we didn't talk about your adorable son, one of the cutest people I've probably ever seen, Oliver. I know he met some players, and I'd imagine it's similar to when like a dog is meeting a boyfriend or a girlfriend where you kind of need that approval. So I want to know, how did it go over?
Yeah, I was judging him pretty carefully on who could be a future babysitter, you know, who was scared to hold him and who ran right in there. And so I've already got some ideas on their abilities. But I do think it's fun to think about him growing up here and around them, and he's on the verge of walking, so I'd very much like to get him back here from Seattle so I don't miss that moment. But we knew that this was a place that we would want to raise our family and in a community that's really supportive. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him walking around the gym at all hours of the day.
Well, I know you're very family oriented, obviously, at home, but even the cultures that you create at the programs that you've been at. And I'm wondering, just a week or so into actually getting to meet with your players now, what's been your strategy for getting to know them as players and people?
Yeah, I think the strategy originally was meet them in their spaces. I flew around the country dodging some storms to meet with families in their homes where I could. If I couldn't do that, I met them here in Minneapolis and spent some time outside this space. And after doing that, we started with just values, letting them explore what the values are of this institution, of this program, the values they bring from their families. And again, trying to build some trust through a lot of communication so that when we do get to work, we can really know that we're coming from a good place.
Well, yeah, getting to know your players and having them get to know you is one thing, but then getting them to trust you is entirely different. And you talk a lot about trust and how you want your athletes to feel 100% supported, in whatever they're going through, whether that's adversity or if they're doing well. And I mean, clearly you've done a great job of that. You've had 0 players transfer out during your time at Washington in those 8 years. How do you work to build that trust with your players right off the bat?
Yeah, I think trust is a byproduct of communication, which I think a lot of people get wrong. I think they wait to feel it before they jump into those conversations. Our strategy has been to try and just maximize the number of conversations happening between players and coaches, and and then to not have your commitment be conditional. That there's going to be some difficult times, and that we're going to show up for each other in those moments. And the University of Washington and the players and the staff and the assistant coaches, the entire system there was extremely committed to that, and I felt that same level of support here at Minnesota, which gave me the confidence to make this jump.
It definitely seems like the entire athletic department has your back in this. I mean, Hugh McCutcheon, your predecessor, who stepped down as head coach but moved into a different role within the athletic department, similar to like a coaching consultant. I'm wondering what conversations you've had with Hugh.
Yeah, a couple good ones, and more to come. Very appreciative of his hospitality and him reaching out proactively to me to make me feel welcome and to offer his support. I think roles like his are really important. We had something similar at University of Washington. It's an emerging space where I think athletic directors are realizing that maybe coaches need coaches. It can be a lonely space being a head coach, and so what Minnesota's done here, what Washington did, I think those are you're going to see more and more of that, just with the increased pressure and stress of coaching. Everyone needs mentors, everyone needs guidance, and so again, really happy for our situation here.
Well, I want to talk about your coaching style a little bit. I know you've had very minimal time with your players so far, but for fans that maybe aren't familiar with your team's style of play, what are 1 or 2 things that we can expect out of a Keegan Cook team?
Yeah, I hope a very assertive serving team, not only aggressive, but efficient as well. We'd like to have some nice physicality at the net. A read blocking team is something we're known for. I like our players to really see the game well, probably a little less tactics and a lot more trusting them to see the game well. And then just being offensively efficient, just wearing people out a little bit by being efficient over time. And those are all things that we were able to get in place at Washington that I see no reason why we can't get those in place here in Minnesota as well.
I mean, yeah, the number one thing I think of, especially back to that spring 2021 tournament, was, your team doesn't get as far as it did if you didn't have the crazy serving you had. So that is the number one thing I think of when I think of your teams, for sure.
Great. I'm glad. Again, when people can see your team and they can see what you value, then I think that you've gotten it right. And that's the challenge of them, for them to see what you value, even though it's their first time watching you play. But yeah, certainly serving is something that has been a key to my success at all levels.
All right, Coach, I want to finish up with this. So because you joined the staff in December, we didn't get you at Media Days this year. So I want to go through some rapid fire questions that our other Big Ten coaches had to go through. So first up, we're going to kick it off. Who is your favorite band or singer?
Kings Leon.
Okay. Have you seen him in concert?
No, I don't get to go to concerts. I get to go to volleyball tournaments in the spring, but I'm hoping there's some good concerts here in Minneapolis that I'm hoping to catch.
You're like, I've seen the inside of a lot of convention centers, but not Kings Leon.
It's true.
All right, which actor would play you in a movie?
Oh, man. This is a very good question that I'm afraid to answer. I don't know. Hopefully one day George Clooney. I don't know.
There we go. I like it. All right, which player would you most trust to babysit little Oliver?
Oh, Elise at this point. Yeah, she grabbed him right away, so she's the leading candidate.
She seems like the mom of the team, so that makes sense. One word or phrase to describe your team.
Oof. Potential.
Mm-hmm. All right, thinking about your entire career as a whole, what is the most memorable game or moment that you've had?
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, hard not to think about the Louisville match. It's pretty recent. The Louisville match was something pretty special to us during the pandemic. It's amazing that the Pitt match was probably equally as exciting in the next round, but certainly that Louisville match was something that I'll remember forever.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of etched in my brain. I feel like no one's ever gonna forget that one. Okay, last thing I got for you. The number one thing that you're looking forward to this upcoming fall season.
Number one thing I'm looking forward to, just growth of this team, growth of as individually and collectively. You know, where they start and where they finish should be a pretty big journey. So I'm excited about that.
Well, I know we're all excited too. It's so happy to have you a part of the Big Ten family now. I'm excited to come up there and see you at the Pavs. But Coach, thank you so much for your time today. And again, we're all so excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.